I'll have to be honest with you. First thing I'm going to mention right up front is it's free. I like this service when it's free because, you know, you can tie up a lot of money in different services, and from experience I found out that sometimes you can pay a lot of money and you may not be getting that much out of it.
Good afternoon and welcome to GrainTV. It's January 6th, 2014. To my left is Logan Burgess and I'm Brock Shimbido. We had a positive day to start the week in Chicago. Let's turn over the live quotes and see how we ended. Corn was up 4 1/4 cents. Soybeans was up 6 3/4 cents. Wheat in Chicago up just a quarter penny coming off the session highs. And Kansas City was up 2 cents as well. Yep. You know, Logan, we didn't have a whole lot of new fundamental news out in the overnight session and into today's session. Yep. Something that was catching the traders' eyes was the weather scenario that's shaping up across the Midwest.
Yeah, you know, a big talk of the trade today was the exceptionally cold temperatures across much of the grain belt. Take a look here at this map provided by Planalytics showing the lows from today, and you can see temperatures well below zero for much of the grain belt, as I said. Now, we did have some elevators closing down today as a result of the cold weather, so it might be inhibiting corn and soybean movement a little bit, but this really remains a wheat story, especially for the Kansas City crop. We saw early in the trade session, Kansas City really picked up some good ground, and that's based on the cold temperatures and the winter kill that people are fearful of at this time of the year. MDA Cropcast estimated that 30% of the crop saw limited damage, 15% of the crop saw significant damage. So that seemed to prop up the Kansas City contract there early in the session. We saw Chicago move higher as well from some talk about damage in southern Illinois, Indiana, and down in Kentucky. And this is really a big concern, though, for the Kansas City crop, just based on the coverage of snowfall that we see right now. Take a look at this map here. This shows observable snow depth across the U.S., and the area that we have circled here in red is that southern area of Nebraska and central Kansas that people are really concerned about. So, as I said, it seems like it did some damage to the crop. It really rallied the Kansas City wheat market early in the trade session, but as you said, Brock, closed pretty hard, relatively unchanged on the day.
Yeah, we saw the Chicago wheat contract really back off the highs that we saw earlier in the session, and that's a little bit concerning considering that we've been on such a downslide over the last month and a half or so. You'd think that, you know, a story like this would really get us to rally a little bit higher. We have been technically oversold for quite some time, so it's going to take a significant amount of fundamental news for us to continue to rally, I believe, off of these lows that we've seen recently.
Yeah, you know, we did have some reported export sales this morning and the export inspections report. Did either one of those stories, I guess, help this wheat market?
You know, I think that the story that we got this morning about an export sale going to an unknown destination did prop up the wheat market a little bit. That was for marketing year 14-15, however, so I don't think that really held up the near-term contracts over the period of the whole session. You know, something that we did see was the export inspections this morning. It was a little bit of a mixed bag there. You know, wheat came right within analyst expectations at 13 million bushels. Corn on the low end of expectations, about 19 million bushels, and soybeans beat expectations once again at 56 million bushels. So a little bit supportive for the soybean market, maybe a little bit for wheat as well. But let's take a look at where we stand this marketing year for those export inspections as we head towards Friday's USDA WASDE report. You can see here that we started at a pretty torrid pace here for wheat, beating the anticipated seasonal pace, the green line here, quite handily over the beginning part of the marketing year. Have slowed a little bit over this last part of the marketing year, but we continue to run about 117 million bushels ahead of the current USDA projection. So I would anticipate some sort of revision in Friday's report to the wheat export sales that are anticipated by the USDA. You know, possibly 25 million bushels would be expected there. Similar story for soybeans. We have, you know, basically every week this year beat the seasonal pace to meet current USDA projections. There's only been a couple of spots where we didn't. Similar story as with wheat. We're running about 200 million bushels ahead of pace to meet current USDA projections. So in Friday's report, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 25 million bushel or 50 million bushel addition to the export sales, although we do have an incredibly tight stock, so I don't know if the USDA will be willing to make that big of a revision in Friday's report.
Yeah, you know, some of the action that we saw in today's trade could have been the result of position evening coming into Friday's report. That's going to be a pretty big day for this grain market. On that day, as you said, Brock, we're going to be getting the USDA WASDE report, which is going to highlight some of these export numbers. But really, just as important is going to be the December 1st quarterly grain stocks report. We'll be able to get a better idea of disappearance for corn and soybeans in particular, I think, is kind of where the focus there is going to be. Additionally, there's been some weather premium put in this market, in the corn market, because of dryness in Argentina. So now a big question is the USDA going to scale back their expectations for Argentinian production. We'll get that information on Friday, but here moving through the week, we're going to help keep you posted on those expectations on GrainTV, basically breaking down ending stock expectations and quarterly grain stock expectations. So tune in tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday for those. In general, though, that wraps up what we saw here on a relatively quiet but positive Monday in the grain market. As always, visit us over at grainhedge.com if you want to get live futures quotes on your mobile trading device or your tablet. Thanks a lot for joining us here on GrainTV. We'll see you tomorrow.